Relationship, her friendship, her, you're making me use your word,
Mhm.
her friendship or whatever with
Okay.
Mr. Epstein was independent of me.
Catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TD Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all.
Remember when Katt Williams warned the next few years were going to be chaos, with the entertainment world getting flipped and everyone's hidden business sliding into the light? He said the clean image era was done and the mask was cracking. Katt didn't just speak in vibes. He pointed at the Epstein list as a pressure point, saying big names are nervous because they don't want people connecting dots from flight logs and old social circles. In his story, it wasn't only obvious power players either. He also side-eyed the glossy crowd, high-fashion icons and international socialites who allegedly helped open doors and decide who gets access. So yeah, Naomi Campbell, please step up front, because the internet keeps repeating your name like it's a headline waiting to drop. People claim that when they scroll through the 2026 DOJ file chatter, your name shows up around travel mentions, introductions, and meetings that feel too convenient. And here's where folks raise eyebrows. Why does it seem like page after page, your name gets brought up in the same breath as flight records and recruitment talk? Like you're always one handshake away from the next connection? That alone doesn't prove anything, but it's the kind of pattern that makes the public zoom in. Then there's the Kenya International Tourism Ambassador title, because people want to know how that role lines up with the talk about coastal towns, private circles, and who got invited into what room.
From that flight, do you know him from any other thing?
No.
Naomi Campbell?
Yes, I do know Naomi. And I knew her before I met Mr. Epstein and the former President Clinton.
Do you know whether Mr. Epstein separately knew Ms. Campbell?
I think he probably met her through me. That, I imagine.
And so, for those three, Mr. Tucker, Mr. Spacey, and Ms. Campbell, did they ever travel to any of Mr. Epstein's properties, the island or New Mexico?
Not Mr. Tucker, well, no, not to my knowledge, Mr. Tucker or Mr. Spacey. Naomi Campbell may have.
To where?
She may have gone, well, she certainly, well, I believe she visited him in Palm Beach, and I believe she may have gone to the island, and she may have gone to see his house.
Direct character assassination. I've always said that I'm not a saint, that I am a work in progress, but I will not be held hostage by my past. What he's done is indefensible. And when I heard of what he'd done, it sickened me to my stomach, just like everybody else, because I've had my fair predators, and thank God that I had good people around me that protected me from this. I mean, right now I stand with the victims. I can't, you know, they're scarred for life. For life. I've rubbed shoulders with hundreds of thousands of people.
If the timelines being passed around are accurate, the question becomes, was this just harmless networking and mentorship, or were you simply a top-tier scout moving people toward powerful spaces where newcomers had less protection? I hope you're seated, because the way Naomi's name keeps getting pulled into this mess is wild. And first off, removing the y'all and keeping it clean. I hope everyone's sitting down, because the details people are digging up and arguing about are seriously intense. So here's what's being talked about. Back in August 2025, the DOJ reportedly released a transcript from an interview where Ghislaine Maxwell spoke with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. And in that conversation, Maxwell allegedly suggested that Naomi Campbell may have visited Little St. James at some point. That's Epstein's private island, and just hearing that name in the same sentence makes people's ears perk up fast. Maxwell also reportedly claimed that Naomi's connection with Epstein wasn't just through her. It was supposedly a separate relationship, meaning Naomi and Epstein may have had interactions that Maxwell didn't even know about. And that's exactly why people online went from side-eye to full zoom, because when someone says a friendship was independent, it makes the situation feel deeper and way more personal. Then it gets even messier. More recently, people online pointed to a February 2026 batch of DOJ emails that allegedly mentioned Epstein in 2016, discussing buying or investing in Brazilian modeling agencies, including negotiations tied to Ford models. And the reason this part hit so hard is because Ford models once represented Naomi, while Naomi has publicly denied having contact with Epstein. According to the way the documents are being discussed, Epstein seemed locked in on using the modeling world as a pipeline to meet women, like it was strategy, not coincidence. And that's where speculation starts running loose, because some people go, okay, but who put him onto those routes? Others say, slow down, interest doesn't prove access. Either way, the optics are nasty. Now, I'm not saying anyone suggested anything, because that would be a claim without proof. But people online throw out theories like, what if Naomi had influence in those circles, and Epstein thought the agency route would be an easier way to get introductions? That's internet talk, not confirmed fact, but it's definitely the kind of rumor that spreads fast when names, dates, and industries overlap. And when Naomi's name first got dragged into this drama, she denied having any connection to Epstein. But after the pressure got louder, she added more context, saying she was introduced to Epstein on her 31st birthday by her ex-boyfriend Flavio Briatore, and that Epstein was often front and center at Victoria's Secret fashion shows. Naomi said she had no clue Epstein was allegedly using her name like bait to pull in young women who wanted modeling opportunities, and she claimed he did what he's been accused of doing with a lot of people, talking big and exaggerating how close they really were. She also said she deeply regrets having any contact with him after his conviction and tried to paint it like, look, I'm in public spaces. I take pictures with tons of people, basically calling him just one of the countless faces she stood next to for a quick photo. She insisted she didn't know about Epstein's alleged crimes back then, and she framed it like she was fooled too. That's the angle she pushed, like she was around him, but not in his business, not aware of what was really going on behind the scenes. And then she wrapped her defense with a statement that people keep reposting word for word. The frightening conclusion here is that if the negative action of your neighbor, colleague, or even an associate can somehow make you guilty too simply by association, then we indeed live in very worrying times. This affects us all. It's wrong, it's unfair, and it must be stopped. She basically said, don't convict me just because I was in the same room. But the public reaction, cold. A lot of people said, okay, but it's not just same room. It's how often and how close. They argued that if you're repeatedly around someone and you're in those elite circles, you can't act like you saw nothing, heard nothing, and had zero clue. That's what people keep throwing at her, like, you can't be that connected and that unaware, even though that's still opinion, not proof. And it got even messier when one of Epstein's accusers, someone who says they were taken to the island, directly called Naomi out with this quote, "You saw me at your parties. You saw me in Epstein's homes. You saw me on the plane. You saw me get my hair cut. You saw me on the streets. You saw me." That quote is what really set the internet off, because it's not vague, it's personal, it's direct, and it hits like an accusation with a spotlight on it. Now, to keep it fair, an allegation is an allegation, and none of this automatically proves Naomi knew what was happening. But online, people connect that quote with travel rumors and say she only went into full defense mode once the whole situation exploded publicly. And then, there's the part that keeps getting repeated the most. People claim there are receipts placing Naomi on private jets connected to trips to the island, and they use that to argue the odds are high she saw something. Still, even with some people giving her the benefit of the doubt, the online talk has gotten way darker lately. Because some threads are now claiming Naomi wasn't just around the situation, but may have played an active role in the wider mess. To keep it fair, these are allegations and internet summaries, not a courtroom verdict, but the way people are connecting dots is making the conversation turn nasty fast. Here's the angle those investigative threads keep pushing. Summaries of the 2026 files have people saying Epstein's wider circle was allegedly sniffing around recruitment hubs in East Africa, especially Nairobi and coastal areas. And once that gets mentioned, social media instantly starts looking at who was powerful in those exact spaces: fashion, travel, and elite networking, because that's where introductions can happen without leaving a paper trail. Now peep this part that keeps going viral. Who became Kenya's international tourism ambassador? Naomi Campbell. In January 2021, Kenya's Ministry of Tourism named her the International Magical Kenya Tourism Ambassador. That decision reportedly caught backlash from locals who felt a Kenyan figure like Lupita Nyong'o should have been chosen instead, and some critics also pointed to Naomi's past public connections that overlapped with Epstein's social circle. The government defended the move, basically saying her global profile and long history of visiting the coast made her a big promotional win. But here's where people start side-eyeing hard. The same years Naomi was building a high-profile presence in Malindi, these 2026 file summaries claim Epstein was also showing interest in expanding into the African modeling market, with mentions of scouting new talent in places like Kenya and Ethiopia. Again, that doesn't prove Naomi was involved in anything illegal, but the timing is what makes the internet loud because the story starts to sound like two lanes running next to each other. And Malindi itself adds to the drama because it's known as a coastal hotspot for a wealthy, international jet-set crowd. Private parties, big names, quiet deals, and lots of who-you-know energy. People keep saying that's the exact type of world Epstein allegedly moved through. So they're asking, was Naomi's Kenya spotlight just tourism and fashion business? Or did it overlap with something uglier behind the scenes? And when you add Maxwell's claimed 2025 statement that Naomi had an independent friendship with Epstein, critics act like that's the missing puzzle piece, even though it still isn't proof by itself. People have been asking a real uncomfortable question. Did Naomi's strong ties to Kenya give Epstein's circle a kind of social cover in the region? Introductions, access, and a trusted face to make everything look normal? That's what critics are implying, at least, and they point to how she allegedly presented herself as a mentor, the big sister type, the helpful talent scout who's putting girls on and opening doors. But the way some online summaries frame the 2026 Epstein files, they try to flip that image upside down. They suggest that while she was being celebrated publicly, especially with the tourism ambassador spotlight, she was also building an independent network behind the scenes. Again, that's a claim from interpretations, not a proven fact, but it's the kind of claim that spreads because it sounds like a double life. And here's the scandalous part people keep repeating. They say the logs imply she wasn't just scouting fashion talent. She was allegedly scouting local attractions in a way that helped funnel young women from East Africa into a pipeline that benefited Epstein and his rich, high-flying crew. That's a serious accusation, and it needs real evidence. But the internet is treating it like it explains everything, like her eye for talent magically lined up with Epstein's eye for procurement, and suddenly she's being described less like a mentor and more like a VIP concierge for the elite. And people say it with that sarcastic tone like, oh, she's just giving back to the community, right? As long as the check's clear and the flight logs stay quiet. The way they frame it is shady as hell, like the public image is the costume and the real business is hidden behind private invites. Now, separate from the Epstein talk, there's another messy thread people bring up. Elsa Majimbo from Kenya has previously spoken about Naomi in a negative way. Elsa said Naomi sabotaged her modeling opportunities and tried to control her life and career, basically acting like a gatekeeper instead of a supporter. Elsa also claimed she went through depression and heavy drinking during that period, saying she felt shut out and blocked after the fallout. Then after Elsa spoke about the friendship ending, she claimed she faced threats, specifically that private messages could be exposed, including texts about past issues with white executives who wished to sleep with her. Those are Elsa's claims, and they haven't been proven in court. But people keep bringing them up because it feeds into a bigger power control narrative that's already got social media heated. Basically, it's like this. If you didn't play nice and fall in line, you felt it later. Elsa was only lucky because she blew up on her own without needing Naomi. But she did say Naomi was the one who first plugged her into those big Hollywood circles, and it definitely doesn't help Naomi's image that she's been close with other controversial people too, like Diddy, because that connection keeps getting dragged back up every time new drama hits. She even posted a photo with him and captioned it, "You inspire me every day. Your passion and your drive for perfection, your spirit ignites. I love you, brother." Then for Diddy's 50th birthday, she posted a video and wrote, "Happy 50th, brother. Wishing you another 50 forever, by my side." People clocked it immediately like, oh, they weren't just acquaintances. There are also tons of photos of Naomi and Diddy together, and some of them include Cassie, like that Dubai photo that keeps resurfacing. And Naomi was even the one who threw a big birthday party for Diddy in November 2023, just weeks before Cassie filed her explosive lawsuit against him. Naomi has reportedly tried deleting some of the pics, but once something hits the internet, it moves like a boomerang. Those receipts pop back up everywhere. And because she was so close to Diddy and traveled around with him and Cassie, people claim she might have seen things happen and stayed quiet. They also say it feels similar to the Epstein talk, like she saw things and only spoke up when the pressure got loud, which is why critics keep pushing the idea she wasn't just around it. She was part of the whole machine. Anyway, in a July 2025 interview with Carmelo Anthony, Katt Williams talked about how certain international hub cities, like the ones people connect to East Africa, can be used by powerful circles to find and move talent. And he claimed a lot of big-name ambassadors in the industry already know how those pipelines work. And if you've been listening to Katt lately, he hasn't switched up at all. He keeps repeating the same warning, like he's trying to make sure nobody can say they didn't hear him later. He also went in on what he calls celebrities' selective amnesia, because a bunch of names have been linked to Epstein socially, but suddenly everybody's acting like they can't remember being on the island or having any real contact with him. And people keep lumping Naomi into that same conversation, like, so we're really supposed to believe she was just floating through the early 2000s, no questions asked? Like she was totally unaware of what her independent friend Jeffrey and her close connection Ghislaine were doing behind closed doors. And then, conveniently, she ends up as a major face for Kenyan tourism, right when DOJ chatter starts spotlighting East African recruitment hubs in Epstein's archive. Wow, that timing is something, huh? So let's talk real for a second. Do you think it's just a huge coincidence that Naomi's favorite getaway spot and her ambassador role line up with areas people online claim were flagged as recruitment hubs in the Epstein files? And with her status as a global icon, is it believable she was mentoring people without ever clocking shady characters hanging around VIP sections in private hangouts? Or is that too clean of a story for how messy these circles can get? And what about Katt? Just a comedian with a grudge, or one of the only people willing to call out a whole system of international scouting that gets ignored until it's too loud to hide? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like, subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you on the next one.